Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome co-founding mother of the Ms. Foundation for Women and of the Free to Be You and Me Foundation, Marlo Thomas.
Thank you so much. What an exciting night. This is our 42nd anniversary of the Ms. Foundation. Very exciting. You know, throughout history, there have been a special group of people whose achievements have become such a part of our daily lives that we forget that without them, everything would be different. I mean, you walk into a room and you flip up a light, and who stops to think that without Edison, we'd be bumping into walls? Well, that's how we, the founding mothers of the Free to Be and the Ms. Foundations, Pat Carbine, Letty Cotton Pogrebin, Gloria Steinem, and I, felt back in January when we heard the sad news that Peggy Charon had died. Before there was SpongeBob, before there was Elmo, before there was Free to Be You and Me, there was Peggy. And as the Times obituary pointed out, she was a persuader, a petitioner, a testifier, and one fierce letter writer. Her story is incredible. As a suburban mom raising two young girls, she became increasingly concerned about what she saw streaming through the TV at her kids every day. And what did she see? Chronic advertising for worthless toys, endless commercials for sugary cereals, and of course, as she once put it, wall-to-wall monster cartoons. So in 1968, she founded Action for Children's Television, which went after regulators and the FCC, reminding them that by law, they had to serve the public interest with what they put on the airways. And within 2 years, Peggy was raising consciousness and standards. She persuaded broadcasters to reduce commercial time during children's television. She got the FCC to require kid shows to be educational and informational. And then in 1990, she pressed Congress to pass the Children's Television Act, which set the high standards for public TV that our kids watch today. And throughout it all, she never lost her talent for fashioning a good soundbite. Children's television can never be profitable, she said, because most of the people who watch it are very short, and they're very young, and they have very small allowances. She was perfect. We knew that this woman's monumental work had to be remembered. And so we established this new award in her name. As you know, children have been central to the Ms. Foundation since we founded it in 1973. After all, the seed money for the Ms. Foundation came from the proceeds of Free to Be You and Me that we all had worked on. Thank you. And this intimate connection between Ms. and children gave birth to other pioneering initiatives, like our sister organization, the Free to Be Foundation, and Take Our Daughters and Sons to Work Day, which actually, may I say, began as Take Our Daughters to Work Day. But then, 10 years later, parents insisted that we include their sons. And as Gloria said at the time, you know it's good when the boys want in. Isn't Gloria like the best comedian we have in the feminist movement? She was doing her George Burns imitation. So the only question for all of us was who would be the recipient of our first Peggy Charon Award? Well, the answer was obvious, because who is the answer to Peggy Charon's dream? Who is the one great, singular, sensational woman who cares as much about the quality of children's television as Peggy did? And that woman is Joan Gans Cooney. Joan had the groundbreaking idea that while children were devouring TV, they could also be educated by it. And she took to heart a warning that she once was given, that if idealists don't get into the media, then the non-idealists would. And that was all she needed to hear. In 1967, Joan went on the road interviewing experts in child development, education, and television, and filling her notebooks with data, which became the blueprint for a unique little company called the Children's Television Workshop and a new show called Sesame Street. Preschoolers were not necessarily my thing, Joan once said. It was using television in a constructive way that turned me on. And boy, did she turn on the rest of the country, too. Will we ever forget that night in 2012 during a presidential debate when Mitt Romney was asked what he would cut from the budget? And he said, quote, "I'm going to stop the subsidy to PBS. I like PBS. I love Big Bird, but I'm not going to keep spending money on them." Well, within literally seconds, Twitter completely exploded. 17,000 Big Bird tweets poured in every 60 seconds, amounting to the most tweeted about political event in U.S. history. Joan Gans Cooney's creation, that she had nursed with every shred of her skill set, had become so intimately connected with America's heart that it transcended politics. And the message from voters was clear: do what you want. Water down health care, tighten immigration, cut capital gains, but don't fuck with Big Bird. Joan's historic impact on the most powerful medium in the world and her bone-deep dedication to children everywhere is the reason that the Ms. Foundation and the Free to Be Foundation humbly and proudly present the first Free to Be You and Me Peggy Charon Award to Joan Gans Cooney.